Shocking revelation as Sami Zayn confronts Roman Reigns in parking lot. You think you know what loyalty means? You think you understand betrayal? What happened in that parking lot wasn't just a confrontation, it was the complete and utter destruction of everything Roman Reigns claims to stand for. And the WWE Universe is about to lose their minds when they hear what Sami Zayn actually said to the so-called tribal chief's face. Because here's what nobody's talking about: Roman Reigns has been lying to us. The bloodline? It was never about family. It was never about legacy. And Sami Zayn just exposed every single crack in Roman's carefully constructed empire with one conversation that WWE desperately doesn't want you to dissect too closely. Let me paint you the picture of what actually went down, because the sanitized version you saw on television? That's not even half the story. Sources backstage are confirming that this parking lot confrontation was not scripted. This was real emotion, real anger, real years of manipulation finally boiling over. Sami Zayn didn't just walk up to Roman Reigns to have a chat. He hunted him down. After weeks of watching Roman continue his tyrannical reign, after seeing the tribal chief manipulate Jimmy Uso, and Solo Sikoa like pawns on his personal chessboard, something inside Sami finally snapped. And when he found Roman getting into his vehicle, thinking he could just leave the arena without facing the consequences of his actions, Sami made sure that wasn't happening. The words exchanged were volcanic. Witnesses say Sami immediately got in Roman's face and said something that made the tribal chief's entire demeanor change. We're talking about a man who has stared down Brock Lesnar without flinching, but whatever Sami said made Roman pause. Made him actually listen for once instead of dismissing someone as beneath him. Here's what's being reported: Sami told Roman that he's watched him destroy his own family piece by piece. That Jimmy and G aren't family to Roman, they're accessories. They're tools he uses to maintain power, and the second they show any independence, any free will, Roman crushes it out of them. And the most damning part? Sami told Roman that Paul Heyman knows it too. That the wise man has been enabling a sociopath for over 3 years, and everyone in that locker room is sick of pretending this is leadership. Can you imagine the audacity it takes to say that to Roman Reigns' face? This isn't Jimmy finally standing up after years of abuse. This isn't G trying to reclaim his dignity. This is Sami Zayn, an outsider who Roman reluctantly brought into the bloodline, completely dismantling the psychological warfare that Roman has built his entire empire on. But here's where it gets absolutely insane. Roman's response wasn't the Superman punch. It wasn't the spear. It was silence. Dead silence. According to multiple sources, Roman just stared at Sami for what felt like an eternity. And in that silence, you could see something that WWE fans haven't seen in years: Roman Reigns looking like he didn't have complete control of the situation. Think about the implications here. For 3+ years, Roman has controlled every narrative, every storyline. Every single person who's come into contact with the bloodline has either bent the knee or been destroyed. But Sami? Sami isn't playing by Roman's rules anymore. He's not asking for acknowledgement. He's not seeking permission. He's delivering truth directly to Roman's face, and Roman can't Superman punch the truth away. The parking lot confrontation lasted approximately 7 minutes. 7 minutes of Sami Zayn systematically breaking down every single thing Roman Reigns represents. And here's what should terrify every Roman Reigns fan: Sami wasn't yelling. He wasn't screaming. He was calm, calculated, precise. Like a surgeon removing a tumor, Sami cut away at Roman's facade with surgical precision. Sami reportedly brought up Kevin Owens. He brought up how Roman manipulated their friendship, weaponized it, and then discarded Sami the moment he was no longer useful. He brought up how Roman didn't eliminate Sami from the bloodline because Sami failed. Roman eliminated him because Sami was getting too close to the truth. Too close to exposing that the tribal chief's greatest fear isn't losing the championships. It's losing control. Now here's the shocking revelation that's going to make you question everything you've watched for the past 3 years. Sami told Roman that Uso confided in him. That before War Games, before the emotional reunion, G told Sami that he knows Roman will never change. That the bloodline will always be about Roman's ego, Roman's accolades, Roman's legacy, and everyone else is just there to make him look good. Let that sink in. Uso, the person who has stood by Roman through everything, apparently told Sami Zayn that he's fully aware he's being used. But the family obligation, the Samoan heritage, the pressure of the Anoa'i legacy, it keeps him trapped in Roman's orbit. This is psychological warfare at its finest, and Sami just dropped a nuclear bomb in that parking lot. Because if G knows he's being manipulated and stays anyway, what does that say about the entire bloodline structure? It means Roman hasn't created loyalty, he's created Stockholm Syndrome on a massive scale. Security reportedly approached the situation 3 times during this confrontation, and each time, Roman waved them off. He wanted to hear what Sami had to say. Whether that's because some part of Roman actually respects Sami's honesty, or because Roman wanted to assess the threat level, we don't know. But the tribal chief let Sami speak uninterrupted, which is completely unprecedented. The locker room reaction to this parking lot confrontation is explosive. Wrestlers who have been silent about the Bloodline's dominance for years are suddenly talking. Veterans are reportedly saying that Sami did what they've all been thinking but were too afraid to articulate. Because let's be honest, Roman Reigns has had creative control and political power that makes him virtually untouchable. Challenging him isn't just challenging a character, it's challenging the entire WWE power structure. But Sami doesn't care anymore. Sources say that after being removed from the Bloodline, after the betrayal at Royal Rumble, after watching Kevin Owens get brutalized repeatedly, Sami reached a breaking point. This wasn't about getting his spot back. This wasn't about reconciliation. This was about accountability. One backstage source used the word uncomfortable to describe the vibe after news of this confrontation spread. Uncomfortable because Sami said things out loud that everyone knows are true but nobody dares to speak. Uncomfortable because it exposes the toxic culture that Roman has cultivated where fear masquerades as respect. Think about every person who's come into contact with the Bloodline. Dean Ambrose left WWE entirely rather than continue in that environment. Seth Rollins has consistently positioned himself as far from Roman as possible. Brock Lesnar needed Paul Heyman to even make the rivalry interesting. Edge and Rey Mysterio got used as pawns. The Usos have been broken down psychologically to the point where their entire identity is wrapped up in being Roman's enforcers. So here's the question that's eating at the WWE universe right now: what happens next? Because this isn't a storyline that gets resolved with a match at the next pay-per-view. This is fundamental. This is existential. Sami Zayn just told Roman Reigns that his entire legacy is built on manipulation and fear, and Roman didn't deny it. Will we see Sami get absolutely destroyed for his honesty? Probably. Roman's pattern is clear: anyone who challenges him gets systematically dismantled. But here's the difference: Sami's already been destroyed by Roman. He's already lost everything, which means he has nothing left to lose, and that makes him the most dangerous person in Roman's world. The WWE universe is divided right now. Half are saying Sami signed his own death warrant. The other half are celebrating that finally someone had the courage to say what needed to be said. Social media is absolutely exploding with takes, and the engagement numbers are through the roof. This parking lot confrontation represents something bigger than just Sami versus Roman. It represents a reckoning. For 3 years, we've watched Roman Reigns position himself as the ultimate villain who's actually right, the protagonist who uses antagonist methods. But Sami just stripped away all that complexity and showed us the simple truth: Roman is a bully who's gotten really good at justifying his bullying. And the most terrifying part? Roman knows Sami is right. That silence in the parking lot wasn't Roman calculating his next move, it was Roman confronting the reality that his empire is built on sand. That loyalty coerced through fear isn't loyalty at all. That the tribal chief has no tribe, he has hostages. The wrestling world is watching closely now. This confrontation has changed everything, because when someone like Sami Zayn, who has nothing to gain and everything to lose, stands up and speaks truth to power, it gives permission for others to do the same. The Bloodline's grip on WWE might be stronger than ever in terms of championships and main event spots, but the moral authority? That just got shattered in a parking lot by a man who refused to stay silent anymore. What's your take? Did Sami cross a line, or did he do what everyone in the locker room has been too afraid to do? Drop your comments below, because this conversation is just getting started. And if you're as fired up about this as I am, smash the like button and share this video, because the WWE universe needs to talk about what really happened in that parking lot. Subscribe for more breaking wrestling news, because this story is far from over.